Unfortunately, this student was not able to be here. The following question was submitted by students from Highlands Ranch High School who are on the Lone Tree Youth Commission. Do you plan to earn back the Douglas County's accreditation with distinction? If so, how would you accomplish this?
Probably right now, as we're here at this forum, there are families from across the country that are looking at Colorado as possibly a place that they would like to live. And of course, they're on the internet because more than 80% of folks start their search for a home or a place to live on the internet before they even contact a real estate agent. And if they land on Douglas County and they think that this is a great place to live, which we all know it is, they may look at the school district and the things that they'll find when they look at the school district, the turmoil, the teachers leaving, the inability to budget every single year will maybe give them pause. So earning back this accreditation with distinction, I think, is a very important thing for the school district to look at. And quite simply, it can be done probably with just a couple of key things. Number one, reinvest some of our excess funds back into the classroom to give the resources to the teachers so they can help our students be prepared for college or the workforce. And number two, try to do something to increase our test scores. Despite what's been said tonight, we are actually second in reading, math, and writing to Littleton Public Schools in the state. So we used to be number one 4 years ago. We are not anymore. So we are not better off now.
I want to tell you a story about accreditation with distinction. It is based on test scores. What has happened is that the district has taken over a couple of things. Most importantly, they've taken over a school called Hope Online. That used to be a small charter school out of the Vista School District in the southeast corner. What has happened is they've accepted students from around the state. They're minority students, they're at-risk students, they're low-income population. And so when we took them over, there was an agreement with the CDE, the Colorado Department of Education, not to factor in their scores for the first 5 years. When Dr. Fagan came on 2 years later, they said, "We're so sorry, we won't be able to abide by that." So we said, well, what should we do? Well, of course, we should keep our commitment to Hope Online. We should keep our commitment to our alternative students, because those students are the ones that we need to help. We have an obligation to help those students. Because they have low test scores, then they've pulled down the district's average enough that we are just below the threshold for accredited with distinction. What does that mean? That means our test scores are at a certain level. But on the flip side, we are helping students who have nowhere else to go. They have been given a tremendous opportunity in this district. I've been privileged to visit some of the locations that Hope Online's co-op has. One of them is in a converted mortuary in downtown Denver. Their stuff is packed to the ceiling, but those kids want to be there and they have an opportunity to be there. So if we want to talk about accredited with distinction versus those kids who have another chance, then I'm all for the kids who have another chance. Thank you.
My oldest son went to Chaparral for a couple of years and then graduated from DC Oaks, which is one of the great alternative schools here in Douglas County. And quite frankly, blaming the loss of the accreditation with distinction on students who need special classes and need special help, I think, is inexcusable from the standpoint of a board member in Douglas County. We need to, quite frankly, stop whining, pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps and get it done. We need to put more resources into our classrooms. We need to quit making excuses about what we do with our money and what is best for our students. That is part of that contingency fund, that rainy day fund that just sits there that we keep talking about all night. There is money there. There is money that has been earmarked. It is not being spent. We are starving our students. We're being too miserly with our dollars. We need to have a savings account like anyone out here today should have a savings account just in case. We need that. But we also need to stop looking at it as a miser does, admiring all the money there in a pile, and spend some of it. Because quite frankly, if we don't, we're going to lose this school district. We can't afford that. All of these students out here right now, Tucker, who would love to have some folks coming up behind him in band that can take over for him once he graduates. Anyone who's looking at arts, anyone who's looking at anything, we need to have those resources available. We need to quit making excuses. I'm Ronda Scholting. I'm running for District G.
Talking about kids' second chances is not making excuses. It's talking about the reality of those kids every day in their classroom. So let's talk about the contingency fund, the rainy day fund. Again, it is not replaceable, it's not renewable. We spend a little bit of it for a school this year, then they don't have that next year. It's gone. It's not a renewable source. You can't spend that and expect that to be an ongoing solution. It is not. So as far as helping kids make something going on in the classroom, test scores, increasing test scores, I frankly don't particularly agree with the idea of pinning the accreditation of a district entirely on test scores. I don't really like that. But since that's happening, then we should talk about what we're doing for those individual kids. So I believe that it's not making excuses, but rather talking about what's really going on with those kids in the classroom. How can we focus on those kids and help them with the resources that we have and make sure that the pot of money that we have that's our rainy day fund, that's less than 1 month's salary for all of our teachers, is preserved such that we can shore up those contingencies without cutting into the classroom, without worrying about where that money is going to come from next year when we've spent it and there's nothing left. So I believe in second chances for kids. I believe in academic excellence across the district. And I will continue to work for that when I am on your school board next year. Thank you very much, Meghann Silverthorn.